This is the show that is all about people making a difference in the community, people living the dream, people developing their ideas, turning it into a reality. And we have nobody better to talk about that with than our next guest, Dan Weinfurter. Dan Weinfurter is a serial entrepreneur. He's been in business in a number of capacities for over 25 years. Dan, thanks for joining us on Get Down to Business.
It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So, Dan, I don't even know how to summarize all your experience. You've been in so many different roles in so many different ways, growing companies, developing companies. Tell us briefly about what you do.
Well, I have been a serial entrepreneur in business services. They've been in different industries, but the common denominator of all of these companies is the development and deployment of a very effective business-to-business sales organization, and that's what's been able to help these companies drive pretty rapid growth.
That's fantastic. So, Dan, this show, we talk a lot about entrepreneurship. Just before you came on the air, we were talking with a fellow who wrote a book and a really interesting idea about teaching the next generation how to turn their ideas into reality. We had public relations experts. But you know what I've discovered in business is that there's no one recipe for success. There's no one thing that you can do that will make something a success, make something a rewarding success. But you got to try a lot of things. Dan, what advice do you have for our listeners?
Well, I, too, came out with a book late last year, and the subtitle was 10 Strategies to Drive Aggressive Growth. There's certainly more than 10 things that an entrepreneur needs to do to drive aggressive growth, but the 10 are ones that I've found to work pretty well. I think, without going through the whole long laundry list, I think that the ultimate goal for anyone who's trying to drive growth is to select the team that you want to deploy to your market with care and discipline, and make sure that you get great people in the critical roles that drive value for your business. And if there's one overriding principle, that would be it. And the irony is that the hiring process in most businesses is while it's the most important, it tends to be the least disciplined. And so there's a big disconnect between what people should do and what I see commonly occur.
Music to my ears. I try to tell everybody that it's so hard to attract good talent, but make that a priority, make that a focus, find good people that you can surround yourself, both as a mentor and an advisor, but also people that can fill the roles in a company that might not be your core competencies. So, Dan, it sounds like you take that advice and you live it because you've seen a lot of successes. What's the projects that you're most involved in these days?
Well, I have just launched a new business with backing from Driehaus Private Equity. It's a company called Growth Play, and we are focused on going to market with an integrated set of capabilities to help companies drive profitable growth. And the idea is to both provide assessment capability to look at a client-facing team's capability and potential, and then couple that with a variety of interventions which tend to get people to a higher skill level and improve their capability and performance. And it's the integrated approach that we think is a bit different. And we're starting with a few foundation acquisitions and then building around that. That's
fantastic. And you are a Chicago-based business?
We are indeed, right in the heart of the loop, at 30 West Monroe.
Oh, fantastic. So let's jump onto that subject for a second, another subject near and dear to my heart. The economy, we've seen some years of some struggles, and everybody talks a lot. We're in an election year right now, so everybody's talking a lot about the business environment and businesses moving out of state. Do you think our Chicago business community is strong?
I think it's very strong. There is a ton of activity in the startup world today. It's not necessarily all technology-based, which is what you tend to hear about in the paper, but Chicago's a big hub for business services, for consulting, for media, and for manufacturing. And for whatever reason, while those are terrific places to work, they don't get the attention that the hot technology sector gets. But the startup community here is robust, feeding in part on what we have here, blessed with great academic institutions, and there's more than just two. There's a there's a big handful of them that are terrific.
Which sort of ties into what you were just saying, again, finding good people that can help you grow your business, because you and I don't think either of us are jacks of all trades. I think you're probably a jack of many more trades than I am. You've grown many businesses, turned them into your reality, but you got to surround yourself with good people. So great advice for our listeners of Get Down to Business. But Dan, how can people find out more about your ventures, and specifically more about you?
I am at personal website is www.danweinfurter.com, and it's DANWEINFURTER.com.
That's fantastic. And if our listeners have more questions about the areas that we just talked about, I think that they'll find a lot about your story and a lot of information on your website, but also your email address is posted very prominently over there. So visit, again, danweinfurter.com. Dan, thanks for sharing your very valuable, very, very helpful advice to our listeners, and looking forward to continuing the conversation real soon with some more advice about small business and entrepreneurship. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be on your show. Thank you.
Thank you. Get Down to Business is sponsored in part by Everett Wealth Solutions. Everett Wealth Solutions is a registered investment advisor, financial planning firm, a fiduciary advisor that helps you create your personal financial wealth. You can find them at everettwealthsolutions.com or call 708-771-7777. That number doesn't get any easier. It's 708-771-7777. Visit my website, shalomklein.com. Find out more information about events and download podcasts. After the break, more Get Down to Business.